Hi, Zach Reiser here, and welcome back to another bass effects review video. Today I'm going to be getting into the Cali76 compact bass compressor by Origin Effects. Now, I have yet to see a bad review of this pedal yet, and so far, with my limited time playing on it, I cannot get the thing to sound bad. It's just a beautiful compressor. It can be set up as subtle as you want it, or really as pretty dramatic as you want it, if that's your thing too. So I'm going to go through and try to show you a bunch of different sounds ranging from subtle to extreme. So let's get into it. This is my bass's dry tone Dingwall ABZ 6-string on the neck pickup. All right, this has got a lot of knobs. I'm going to start simple and just kind of show you what each knob does, but really they're highly interactive, so depending on how you set them up together is where the sound really comes alive. So starting with the input gain, I'm going to leave it at noon for now. You can affect drastically how much compression there is based on the input gain, but also it's to help match your bass's output to the compressor's threshold setting. So I will turn that up later a little bit to get more extreme compression, but for now I'm going to leave it at noon. I have the out at a place that's roughly equal to my input gain, and for now I'm not going to touch the dry or the high pass filter knob. I'm just going to show you the ratio settings here. So starting with the lowest ratio available, here is some subtle compression from the Cali76. Now you might already be noticing a very cool feature of the Cali76. The LED is interactive, and it's actually showing you how much compression is happening. So when it's red like this, there's no compression happening because it has no signal. If I pluck lightly, you'll see it turns to a dim orange. If I pluck harder, that orange gets brighter and brighter, and then if I had the compression set higher, like a higher ratio, higher input gain, you'll actually see it turn yellow. And that's when it's really starting to get to that almost limiting level. Okay. So let's turn the ratio up a little bit. I'm going to turn this back to noon. So this is kind of ratio around 9 o'clock. Now, this is subtle compression, so let me turn it off so you can hear a little bit. Kind of a lick. Similar lick, but with this. So you're not hearing a ton of effect. It just kind of gives you this nice fatness and this very subtle tonal coloration that I find to be incredibly pleasing. It's one of those things, actually, if I had room on my board, I'd love to buy one and just leave this on all the time to get this sort of signal. Let's turn the ratio up to noon here, and I'll do some chordal work here. This is where we really start getting more of a squash in terms of my dynamic range. So I'm switching to my bridge pickup here. Here's a couple harmonic chords. Let's turn the compressor on with this setting. And you can hear that if I pluck really hard at the front, it kind of pushes my signal down for a second, then lets it come back up. So we're getting quite a bit more squash here. A little bit of this same setting, but with a pick, switching back to my neck pickup. Here's without the compressor. With the compressor on. All right, now we're starting to get into some territory that really allows me to demonstrate the dry output knob. So you can hear that my volume is going down like crazy. Here's without the compressor. Here's the same thing but with the compressor on. So since my ratio is set higher and I'm hitting it with a louder signal, it's not actually sending as much output to the output stage. So now, if I want, I can get this subtle, this kind of more extreme compression, but I can smooth it out by rolling in some of my dry signal. So now I have the dry signal kind of floating on top of the compression. So here's some dry output added to that same compressor setting with a pick. Cool. So now I have that cool, snappy, fat compression sound, but I still have all of my dynamics of my actual pick coming through as well. I'm not losing all that signal. Similar settings work really well with chordal stuff as well. So without the compressor, sounds fine, but now with these compressor settings. subtle thing. You really have to have headphones on or a good stereo to hear this, but it is so much fuller and fatter with this compressor on. Yet again, I wish I could leave this thing on all the time. Great chordal setting right here. Okay, let's get into some extreme territory here. I'm going to turn the dry off just for a minute so you can hear this. I'm going to crank the ratio all the way up to 3 o'clock. So by itself, this is what this sounds like with the ratio this high. Now you can hear, yet again, I'm losing a lot of volume. And a little bit of top end, too, because my bass's low end is hitting the compressor harder than the higher frequencies are, and since it's not a multi-band compressor, I'm losing a little bit of top end in my signal. So first of all, let's turn the attack knob up all the way just for an extreme setting here. With this high ratio setting, like this alone, this is what it sounds like. Already sounds, you get kind of that quick, fast, snappy, extreme compression setting. I'm still losing a bit of top end though, because my low end is hitting the compressor harder than the mid-range and highs. So now I get to utilize this beautiful high-pass filter that they have set up here on a side chain inside the compressor. So what's happening is as I turn this up, it's rolling out the low end that's getting compressed. So the low end still comes through the pedal, but it's not being compressed. So if I turn this up to noon, you'll hear that now the compressor still is giving me that quick attack and that hard ratio on the top end of my note, but not so much on the low end, so I don't lose the top end. Same kind of thing, but with that high-pass filter off again. High-pass filter about noon. And this is a great feature if you want to use this for slap. I'll switch to both pickups here. Okay, now I go back to this high-pass filter rolled up about to noon. So here I get a little bit more dynamic control. I still get that cool, snappy, fast compression, but I have a little bit more dynamic range available. Could do something similar, by the way. Let's turn the high-pass filter a little bit lower here, and let's put my dry signal back in. So really high compression, but now I have my dry tone in there. Really getting that just fat, funky compressor. I still have the highs and the clickiness of my slap tone, but it still gives me the snappiness and that pumping of a really intense compression. And I could make this even more intense by turning the input gain up. So if I turn the input gain, I'm sending more signal into the compressor, and now that extreme compression setting is actually even going to get overdriven a little bit. So here's the same settings, but higher input gain on a slap tone. Turn the input gain down a little bit just to get rid of that distortion that's happening. Really great setting as well for kind of a rock pick line. So without the compressor, I'm going to go to my neck pickup. With these extreme compression settings here. If you want a little bit less of your dry signal and a little more of the compressed sound, you can just roll the dry signal out and turn the output up a little bit. And it's just, yet again, I cannot get this thing to sound bad. It's just such a beautiful compression circuit. It sounds rich and warm all the time. So one of my favorite things is running an octaver into a nice heavy compression for that kind of 80s octaver sound. So I have my octaver setting here for my Boss OC2, so that's what this sounds like by itself. Now into this setting on the Cali, and I'm going to put a little bit of dry signal in here too. Sorry, I could play with that setting all day long. It's too funky. Let's try, for instance, using this. I'm going to turn the compression down a little bit. I'm going to make it more of just a just more of a fattening compression. So let's turn that ratio down. I'm going to turn the attack release down a little bit here too. And I'm going to put on a bit of reverb afterwards, because a lot of times I will use compressors as kind of like a subtle coloring boost for solos. So these are kind of the subtle compression settings here with a little bit of reverb from the TC Hall of Fame. And yet again, I have that dry signal rolled in, so I still have control of my dynamic range. I can turn the ratio down if I want it to be a little more subtle. Let's just fatten this up and get a little 80s out here. Let's put on a nice multi-chorus from the Strymon Mobius and hear what that sounds like a little bit. The Cali76 is running into the Mobius, by the way. Turn my dry signal down a little bit. And lastly, let's get a pick out here. Settings with some harmonic work for fun. All right, so that is the Cali76 compact bass compressor. Thanks for watching, and I will be back shortly with more pedal reviews and some performance videos. Please subscribe if you enjoy. Thanks.